Welcome to Conscious Leadership Series, Parag. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Uh,
Smita, for having me.
Thank you. So, to all our listeners, have you ever had the privilege of working under a leader who wasn't solely focused on profits, but was genuinely interested about team development and they cared about their success? A leader who listens, a leader who empowers, and a leader who inspires. Yes, I am talking about conscious leadership. It's about leading with compassion, fostering teamwork, and building a meaningful connection that drives success and fulfillment. I'm Smita Iyer, your host, a leadership facilitator, and a coach. Decode Inspired Living is a venture that aims at igniting passion in each one of you so that you reach your highest point of leadership and create a nurturing world where everyone thrives. In this episode, we have the pleasure of welcoming Mr. Parag Saraiya. Thank you, Parag, once again for
Mhm.
gracing this occasion. Let me introduce Parag to you. Parag, with a BE in computers and an MBA in marketing from SP Jain Institute of Management and Research, has cultivated a career spanning over 22 years in UK, US, and India in the real estate and the IT sector. He excels in managing large residential projects, mixed use projects, turning them into vibrant communities. As a project CEO of Rustomjee, Parag currently oversees P&L of multiple projects in Mumbai, ensuring profits and returns through product differentiation and team synergy, advocating customer centricity, innovative design, and efficient and effective execution. Parag has also played a pivotal role in launching new businesses and revitalizing struggling projects, demonstrating resilience and leadership. What I loved about Parag is his agility, quick learning, balanced approach, and clear communication, combined with his focus of balancing profits and guiding teams through success that makes Parag a conscious leader. Thank you, Parag, once again.
Thank you, Smita, for a very kind and generous introduction. Looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you. I remember seeing your profile and something really connected with me. And you demonstrated some of the aspects of conscious leadership. And that's how we started the conversation.
Sure, and it's a very different topic than one generally talks about in such forums. So I was very interested and still very interested to understand where you come from, as in the conscious leadership, and that's not a word which we generally hear a lot. Probably practice even lesser. So yeah, I mean, equally interested in trying to learn from you as much as you are trying to probe me into the various aspects of conscious leadership.
Thank you, Parag. So, the first question to you: what does conscious leadership mean to you personally?
Uh, I had not Googled this word until about 15 minutes back. And I was very curious why this new term, conscious leadership. And so Google has one definition, and I have my own interpretation of that definition. Uh, I think conscious leadership, or rather, it's a style or whatever. It's your operating style where you're aware of what you're doing, right? Whether it is certain decisions that you take, whether that's a certain way of, I wouldn't say managing people, but organizing a team. How do you reward people? How do you assign tasks? How do you talk to them? How do you connect with them? Uh, and in my own interpretation, it is very different from autocratic or a typical CEO, hierarchy down, or a military style of leadership. where the leader is always right, the leader is supreme. I think conscious leader is aware of her or his weaknesses, strength, and certain operating style, has a comfort in it, and also be open to the differences. Uh, I'm different from my team, right? And that doesn't mean whatever I say, they're going to take it as gospel and do it. I have my own blind spots and I must walk the talk. I mean, these are some of the elements that I connect with the conscious leadership. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's my loose connotation or definition of conscious leadership.
And absolutely, Parag, you brought in a very, very important aspect of conscious leadership. Being self-aware, right? How much am I aware of myself, my strengths, my blind spots? Or is it that I have reached a certain level and I don't need to know anything more? That's what, I have seen separates leaders from conscious leaders. At every stage in our life, we learn. We want to be aware of our strengths. We want to deploy that strengths and leverage on the strengths. And you also spoke about knowing others, the teams. You know, every person is very different, and
Correct.
you, as conscious leaders, it's all about making every team member inclusive, whether it is including them in projects, whether it is including them in the decision making, whether it
Hmm.
is including them to share their perspective. That's what conscious leaders are always doing, making each and everybody including in the workplaces, so that they also feel valued and they know what
Correct.
they are contributing to.
Sure. And I would kind of conclude that first question by a very cheeky line: don't BS people. Don't tell them things which are absolutely wrong on their face with a lot of confidence, is saying, they don't know. People know everything. So don't give BS to people. If there are things which are not going their way, just be very honest.
And authenticity is one of the key pillar of being a conscious leader. Are we vulnerable enough to say I don't know?
Yeah,
How,
yeah,
and
yeah.
are we making the environment also, creating the psychological safety for team members to come and say, hey, I don't know, I need that help? How
So I'll
open are we?
yeah. So when you say that, it reminds me of certain things. So in older times, or rather, if you go back about 20-25 years, a typical CEO, let's say in FMCG company, Hindustan Lever or PNG, they would go through 4-5 stints, right? And they'll become a CEO or a person of CXO level in about 25-30 years sometimes, right? And they'll go through this and this. Today, you become sometimes a CEO or a CXO in less than that. There are instances where you become CXO in 12 years, 15 years, 18 years. What that means is you haven't had a chance to go through all the functions. That means neither you are an expert nor you are even enough experience in that. And a person like me, I'm not a civil engineer. I'm an engineer, but not a civil engineer. Spend about 8-9 years in IT industry and then come into real estate. I don't think in a team meeting I am better than my architect or I'm better than my estimation head. And if I pretend that I'm better, that 1 hour discussion is not going to be very fruitful because the team knows I don't know enough. I know I don't know enough, but we are pretending as if I know everything. So in a lot of discussion, in fact, one discussion which happened just yesterday, a vendor came in of a flooring material and he said, "You must be knowing this." I said, "No, sorry, I don't know anything. Treat me like a 12th pass candidate." So I there is absolutely no shame in telling them you don't know, because from that point onwards, the discussion is very honest. It's open. That also means you're willing to listen from them. Finally, you may make a decision because that's what the team wants. If they could make a decision on their own, they wouldn't call you. So you're going to pick on people who are better than you, but you're going to understand their point of view, maybe three different teams, their different points of view, and make a decision and saying, I think this is looks like the right thing to do. And that is where your honesty, your intellectual honesty comes into picture. And the team will respect you more by saying, he said he doesn't know, and yeah, that's a good way to start.
Yeah. I love the term that you coined just now, intellectual honesty. Uh, when a leader says, "I don't know, and I'm okay to learn from you," uh, uh, the the team also walks that same talk. Else, you teams start hiding or putting something under the carpet, saying that when if I say I don't know, or if I say I have not been able to complete this, I'll be probably reprimanded for not doing it. So yeah, thank
Correct.
you so much for sharing that example of being a 12th pass and learning from even a vendor.
Yeah, I could have
That
said 12th fail, but there's only already a series, right? So I don't want to go into copyright.
That's a nice way. So, what do you think, Parag, uh, about how are the results achieved by a conscious leader
Mhm.
different from those achieved by any other leader?
Uh, I think in short term, I don't know. Let's say there's a leadership A and B, right? I don't in short term, any method may work, or some method may work better than others. But if we're looking long term, see, it's you can actually cheat or con or put authority over people for 1 or 2 or 3 months. You can't do that in a free world over 3 years. Forget 30 years, right? So if you genuinely want, in my industry, the projects are over 3 year, 5 year, 7 year life cycle. If there is a project which requires a good team to work on that project, be in that company, right? And today more work or more value is created by insights or human intelligence. Intelligence means human capability than machine. When I say machine, means mechanical machine, not AI kind of machine, right? So people are essentially a very important part of your success, or a lack of success, or a absolute failure. In that case, how do you hold them back when your leadership is not authentic? You have dual faces. What you say to them is different, and what you actually do is very different. So, in my opinion, it's a very short term style of functioning or leadership if you are not authentic or conscious. In a conscious leadership, you say, hey, if it's a difficult time, we are in it for together. When the times are good, you're going to reap reward. I think most of the times, uh, the team and the leader, the biggest disconnect is risk reward ratio. How and reward is not just monetary; it's monetary and also recognition and acknowledgement, and how you connect with them. So, an authentic or a conscious leader says, I'm almost like you. Maybe I know a little bit better, and somebody has to be in this captain's chair. So I'm in that captain's chair, and I understand some part of the risk better or some decision making better than you. But otherwise, we are together, right? We will live together, we'll die together, we'll dine together, and whatever happens, we are in together. Versus saying, whatever heck happens to you, I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to make the same amount of money that I will make, irrespective of what happens to you. So I think when two of this style, I mean, let me go back. It's not conscious leadership. It's conscious worker. It's the conscious worker today is forcing people to become conscious leaders. It's not other way around. Because you're a conscious leader, people are becoming more conscious. What people are going to say is, why do I need to work in this company under this person for 10 years? Right? In 1980s, or I divide especially India into three phases. from independence to 91, where there was a very little choice of what you do. You went into a company, stayed in a company 30 years. From 91 to 2008 or 2007, when there was not enough technology to connect you to rest of the world. So yes, you joined a company, maybe you switched one company or two companies. After 2008, 2009, the average tenure is probably 5 years, 7 year, 10 year. But what you do in that 5 year or 7 year or 10 year, and why you stay even for 10 year or 12 year, a lot depends on the context. And number one reason why people leave company is a bad leader, their immediate leader, immediate manager. And today, the churn of people employee is very expensive. We don't measure it enough. But when key people leave in the team, the project goes haywire, the company goes haywire. It takes a lot of time to retrain and so on and so forth. So how do you make sure you retain the team? In that, what team is saying, my daily wages or monthly wages is not just enough. I need certain operating environment. I need respect. I need certain a way of functioning. Uh, if I tell them that go and do this and tell this to customers, they'll say, no, this is not right. If it's wrong, they're going to voice their opinion. ये बराबर नहीं लग रहा है. We are not doing this right. We should not be using this material. I'm just giving you some examples which are likely to happen. And that is where a conscious worker is saying, I am not okay compromising my own values. And looking at that, the leader will say, oh, this is a new generation of people and they can't be fooled easily. So either consciously I become a conscious leader or by force. So if you want good results, because finally I as a CEO, I don't do much. It's the team who's doing, and most of the times it's a front line worker or a middle worker. Somebody is doing design, talking to a consultant who's standing on a site when the construction is happening. They are the people who get the actual work done. My job is only 5%. 95% of work is being done by them. And if they don't believe in your value system, the company's value system, then something is going to break. And you have seen a lot of examples of, let's say, example like Enron and all. So if you tell me, Parag, I mean, how do you differentiate? I don't know. I mean, I had never dreamt of becoming a leader. I thought being manager was a very difficult task. How do you manage people? I mean, why should somebody should listen to you just because you have a title? But then over the time, when I observe, I learned leadership by observing bad leaders and what not to do.
Interesting. Interesting. That's a nice way to learn, because we always try to identify role models who have done great, who have demonstrated great leadership, and we want to embody those leadership principles. But the opposite is also true. When you see a bad leader and you feel this is not the way I want to be treated, then I start learning the opposite of that bad leader. And yes, you touched upon some profound things, ethics, value, what you demonstrate, and why should somebody work under me? What is that I am doing differently, and how is that I'm contributing to that individual, the team member, makes a lot of difference. Today, there are tons of opportunities. Those days have gone where people would stay for 15, 20, 30 years. And
Correct.
and I also heard in one of the video where the owner was talking about giving a 5-year long service award, whereas it
Yeah,
used to
long-term
start
service
from
award.
20 years and 25 years, right? So
Yes,
things have changed. There are in many organizations, there are 4 generation of workforces working. So somebody
correct,
who's in their late 50s and somebody who's in early 20s, they have the technological nuances are much more higher in them compared to the generation who's currently in their late 50s. So learning
correct.
from them and saying, I don't know, could you please teach me? Could you please tell me? Are some of the aspects that you really touched upon, makes the two leaders different. A conscious leader who upholds the values, a conscious leader who's very, very ethical, is what matters, probably compared to all the knowledge or the qualification that one might one might be carrying.
Yeah,
And that doesn't hold any good as you're reaching up the ladder. It's important, but it doesn't, that's not the key. The key is how you are becoming a conscious worker.
correct.
True.
So let me make one and a correction or comment. So you said, employees or team members are saying, why should I work for this person? I have this belief that nobody works for anybody. They work for their own self belief, and if there is a good passion or passionate vision, then they join. So I think the right question to ask is, why should I tolerate my boss, or why should I why, why should I be in the same room or the same company where there are a bunch of other people with whom I don't agree on a value basis? So, well, I mean, somebody has to be a manager and somebody has to be a CEO and so forth. But in today's world, if you think somebody works for you, you are in a flawed world. That's not the world where we live in. Everybody has evolved psychologically. And in 1930s or 20s, when Mr. Henry Ford made the Model T, a conscious leadership may not have worked because it doesn't matter. I mean, if you can fire 10 people, another 10 will fill its space, and you're not supposed to use your brains because machine is supposed to produce output. If you can put 12 hours of work, better than 10 hours, and 14 hours is better than 12 hours, and so on and so forth. But today, a lot of value, economic value, and other value is created by how people think. Otherwise, two of the three, or rather, large companies, the top two, three companies wouldn't be technology company. They rarely produce anything. They type in certain lines, it becomes an app everybody uses, and they become $1 trillion organization, right? It's not the machine driven companies. It's not a petroleum and oil, and not even bank. So human intelligence, way people think, the way people can create solution, creates a lot of value. So your people are your machine, they are your staff, and they are your biggest market cap creator. You please take care of them. Otherwise, you will not succeed. You will not be rich, and people will probably go to a better place.
Yeah. And and I always say one thing, and that remind it's again a recall for what you said. People are at the center of what you do. Profits, revenue, all is an outcome of that. It's not vice versa, that you've got profits and thus you have people. It's you have great people, you value them, they are at the core of what you do, and hence you get the results that you envisaged.
Yes, and profits are essential. Without profit, you can't pay
Yeah,
salaries, and there would
of
be no
course.
people. But yeah, I mean, it's not that profit drives behavior. If
Yes.
your behavior is right, profits will come.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's exactly, I meant that when people are at the core of what you do, they help you get the profit or the vision that you had envisaged for. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you. Uh, so we spoke about, how conscious leaders are different. There were many traits or qualities that came up. If you have to rate the top three qualities of a conscious leader, what would that be and why?
That's not tricky. That's a very difficult and a good question. So I was trying to make some notes for myself, and so things that I was trying to recall what I believe in. So I think there was a phrase or a book saying smartest people in the room. I think of written for Enron, or that's what the belief is. And I have a statement. I'm definitely not the smartest person in the room. uh, I have a lot of good questions to ask. So when you're saying a conscious leader, means you don't try to have a lot of implicit authority, but you have to get the work done. So I think first, I'll tell you about my operating style. I don't know what traits others may or may not use. I can't speak for in general all the conscious leader or authentic leader.
No,
I'll tell
no,
you
it's
what
all
I
about your traits.
yeah
What are
yeah.
the top
So
three
I
traits that you believe?
I think truly respect that. if I have a team of, let's say, 10 people, okay, and let me take liberty of taking names. There are two architects who are in our organization. One is Nakul and one is Ganesh. I can't treat them both in the same manner. I can't expect their operating style to be the same because they are two different independent people. They are not human beings under a designation or a role. They are two people having a different mindset, different way of working, different operating style. And if I try to tell one of them, why don't you be like that, or put them in a boilerplate description, that doesn't work. So first of all, try to understand what is an operating style of an individual, and can you find a good common denominator which works as per the value system and as per the business requirement of the company. So try to do that. So enough respect for individuality, and find some commonality, because otherwise, without any commonality, it'll be all chaos. So I think that's one characteristics I would say. Second is be genuinely helping them succeed in order for you to succeed. And so my first question whenever I go to anybody in the company or on the floor is, how can I help you? And what I mean by is they always have some issue with some other department or with a consultant, or iska payment time pe nahi hua hai, this person has not given a sign off, and they think it is beyond their authority to tell them. And so that's the first thing I'm going to solve for them. Then my second question is, here I've helped you, I've solved your problem. Now, how best and how fast can you solve my problem? So remove the roadblocks, give them the right, airstrip, and then they can fly your airplane. Right. So first help them, and then you tell them that, okay, now please go and execute what you're supposed to execute. So that's the second. So be willing to help them. Third, I think is unfortunately there is a very big disease in today's corporate environment. It is a lack of decision making at many levels, because many decisions are multidisciplinary. You can't say that this is the person who has taken a decision, or everybody fears that if it goes wrong, then what happens to me? So give them that psychological safety, right? So I will ask them, what do you think should be done? They'll say, I think this is what it should be done, and I'll ask 4 or 5 people, and I will make a decision on their behalf, understanding what they've told me, and say, okay, you can write down. Parag Saraiya said this is to be done. So if things fail, it's my name. If it works, then everybody knows it's everybody's decision. That's my operating style. And I think that's the only reason the leader is in that space, because that last 5%, last 2% of bit, they understand, or I understand little bit better than them, or I have a courage to take that decision, knowing that it's still a gray area. 95 10% is still a gray area, but I think this should be done. So I draw all from my experience, but I give them that safety that it is my neck on block. Now feel confident to voice your opinion. I'm not going to put them under bus if something goes wrong, right? Arey, why did you say this? See, now they just failed. So then they become their true selves. They will share everything. They'll be comfortable in the discussion. Otherwise, you'll see the so-called brainstorming session or so-called meetings where people spend hours and hours and hours. People don't open up. So I think these are 3, 4 things. And lastly, be accessible, be open, and communicate. That is another thing which I see lacking in some people, some leaders, or some industries. Uh, you expect that they'll understand. They'll understand what we are doing intuitively. No, they will not understand. In fact, they have questions. They want to understand why you did, and they want to question your operating style. They want to question your business model. You may tell them that you're not wise enough to take that strategic decision, but it is try to explain their point of view. So I think accessibility in today's time where technology is so advanced, you have no reason not to reach out to people. not to send your message across. And most of the times, the communication happens only when there is a big crisis, either with customer or internally or with other stakeholders. It is a communication, or it is a reach out, not by choice, by force. I think there are a lot of leaders who communicate very well. Obviously, they are all over in public forum. Mr. Harsh Mariwala, Mr. Anand Mahindra, and so many other leaders who do wonderful job. And their true intent is not only my company people should benefit, but the world over should benefit. Indian entrepreneurs should benefit. Youngsters should benefit, and so on and so forth. So I think if you have taken that call, that I will be open, I'll be accessible, I'm not going to hide things, I'm not going to treat people as if they have no intelligence, right? And I'm going to open up, share the vision, make them a conscious team member in that vision, then I think that works much better.
Absolutely, some real profound thoughts and some beautiful insights that I have got, Parag, and I'm sure the listeners are also going to love these insights. And I cannot stop myself from summarizing these three, four insights that you gave.
Sure.
Respect who those individuals are, their individualities. While
Correct.
it's important to have commonalities, but also respect their individuality. Provide them with the necessary support so that the roadblocks are removed. I love the aeroplane example that, remove the roadblocks so that they can start flying. Build that psychological safety for them. Uh, whatever decisions you are taking, make them inclusive. Share why you are taking those decisions. Share the vision so that they are also conscious about how they are contributing, and they're also seeing their value within the organization. It's absolutely, yes. I've personally seen, when organizations take decisions, they think everybody knows, or probably one aspect is, why should they know? They just need to execute. They are just
Correct.
executors. We are the decision makers, so we need to know the big picture, but they need not know the big picture. And I always believe whatever goal, the smallest or the largest goal, it should be literally cascaded down till the last mile, so that every individual in the organization feels I am part of this something big.
True. I mean, that's how you make employees a fanatic champion of your vision,
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And
not just a bystander who takes monthly salary.
absolutely. And I so much agree with you, Parag, on this. You spoke about, just not taking the monthly salary and much more than that. So, what is the risk of not developing these qualities in leaders today?
You mean to say what happens if leaders are not conscious?
Yes. If the leaders are not conscious about all the qualities that you spoke about, and they're really profound, and I've seen the impact of these qualities, positive and not having. But what, according to you, is going to be the impact if we do not have conscious leaders with these qualities?
Uh, so let's break it down. What happens? Generally, when people try to join an organization at freshers level, they are more interested in salary in the campus. But when they become mid level or little more experience, the first thing they want to find out, once somebody calls them that here there's an opening in this company, apart from money, money is obviously first question. They want to find out what's the culture of the company and who am I going to work, or rather, what is the leader of this company behave like, talk like, or their values are like. And many times I have experienced when I talk to people, they said, I don't want to work for this company or this leader because let's for a want of a better word, they feel it is not working, or it's a toxic environment, or it's not the right environment for them. So if you are not authentic, if you're not conscious, you may not attract right set of talent. That's one. Second, you will attract or you will convert whoever is around you into a yes man. Everybody will agree to whatever you're saying. There is no risk management, no risk analysis, there is no brainstorming. There's only one idea, and that is the idea will be carried forward despite of what the market reality is. When that happens, there is a decay in the organization. Customers will also see that, and you're not going to prosper despite of how financially healthy the organization is. That that's organization as an entity is not going to grow in a healthy way. You may for some time grow financially, but in the end it's going to decay. So the first and foremost thing is you need to attract people better. As a rule, I had read somewhere, one wise man said, if the person who's getting recruited tomorrow is not smarter than the existing set of people, the average of the company is going down. That means you need to recruit people who are smarter than you, who are better than you, right? And that can happen only if you have an authentic leadership to accept that this is person is better than me in this particular area, and I'm going to let them drive that area or have that decision making. If you don't have that ability, uh, you'll not hire better people. The average quality or capability of an average person in organization is just going to go down. So and that leads to then people deserting you at some point of time. So it's not healthy, I would say, and you can't grow.
Absolutely. You said it, Parag. One of the most important thing is attracting good talent. Today, the talent has lot of information, right?
Yes,
There are many platforms where a lot of things are written. Social People know about a lot of people on social media or through various networks.
correct,
Gone are the days that we did not have information about somebody. Today, at a click of
correct,
a button, you have all the information about that individual, and to know how the person is, what is his leadership style, what is the culture of the organization. And I've also heard many a times that, I want to work with this organization, but I don't want to work with this particular leader, which is so
absolutely,
true. And then the organizations are not realizing what they have missed, attracting those great talents. And absolutely, you end up getting all yes men's around, where there is absolutely zero innovative solutions that are coming up.
correct.
And that's how, when you try to just do the same thing again and again, it at the end of the day has to go down.
Let me give you a quote for this. Uh, a leader's reputation stays for very very long after he's left, and reputation enters the room much before the person enters the room.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why, if people are just talking all goody things in front of you, but when you leave the room, the entire story or the narrative has changed. Whatever they have spoken to you in front of you just doesn't matter. It's who
Correct,
you are when you are not in the room, and what people talk about you is the most important thing that one would treasure, rather than knowing something about me right in front of me.
absolutely,
Thank you once again for that insight. And I think the listeners know what as a leader we need to do, and what we need not or should not do to be a conscious leader. Um, you spoke about values some time back, and I would love to hear from you, Parag, uh, about when you led through change.
hmm
What what did you do to stay true to your values?
uh, I'll give you an example, not of a change but of a challenge.
Okay.
and challenges are always change.
Yes.
It was a COVID time, and we had just the lockdown had just opened up. It was June 2020, and there were two apartment blocks that we had to launch, and it was a slightly different and difficult time, and whatever we had in terms of the permission were good, but it was slightly different. So it took some time for people to understand that why do you have something called a deemed OC and not the corporation issued OC and all that. It's a little technical, but what happened was, I'll give you the context. Salaries were not paid for 2.5 months. People didn't know whether they would be health wise okay, not okay, families will be okay. Very, very difficult. It was month of June, and we got people because you can't do real estate sales. You can do a little bit, but you can't really do it digitally. And what happened was, when we opened up, the buildings were old actually. We were selling 6 to 8 year old building. They were built. We only got some clearances recently, and a lot of customers were not understanding what this deemed OC was, technicality, how the completion certificate came to you, and so on and so forth. And a lot of the team came to me, so I gave them a paragraph, but then I decided that it will be all lost in translation. So I said, okay, I'm going to sit in the sales office every day for 2 months and explain to people whoever have any doubts. And a lot of people came in. So I've explained that paragraph to them. But in the end, I told them, sir, take this to your lawyer, your CA, or your friend, whoever understands this. Make sure you're absolutely comfortable buying this. It's your money. It has to be your decision. Never ever once did I tell them, sir, it is all perfect. Please buy. Nothing. No problem. I said, if you think there's a problem, don't buy, because it's finally your money. So I will say whatever I want to say because I'm selling and I know I'm right. It's nothing wrong, but it's your money. And to say that statement in a month where there was no money in the economy, no money in the company, no money in our own bank account, salary is not paid for about, it was already a difficult environment at that point of time for 3 months. The easier thing could have been to tell the team, उनको बोल दो सब बराबर है ले लो अच्छा हो जाएगा, right? Push, give them a promise which may be true, but it is something you are doing without caution, or to say this is what I believe. If you don't believe in that, please don't buy. And maybe we would have lost about 5-6% of customers. And I'll tell you what happened. Last week, somebody called me saying, I'm so happy I bought that apartment. That person bought two apartments. And I'm not in that company right now, but he called me. He says, "Arey, Parag sir, I was in sales office and I heard you have shifted to other company. But can you speak to the team because I had bought from you and I trust you."
Wow.
And he was there to buy one more apartment in the next phase. So what you say, how you say, uh, either will bite you back based on how you say it, or it will give you rewards in so many years when you are not even aware when that reward or that positive energy will come back. So I don't know. I think it was either courage or foolhardiness based on where how you see to make that statement, knowing that money is desperately required to pay the salaries, to keep the team motivated. But I say it's okay to lose 5%, 10%, even 20% customers. There will be some people who will see that this person is being very forthright and straight with me, even in COVID. Okay. And some people did go to the lawyer and they got okay. Some people said I'm not comfortable, but a lot of people said okay, I think I'm going to buy. I have faith in what you are telling me and how you are telling me. And in the end it all works out okay. They are all very happy. I'm still connected with about 7-8 families in that apartment complex, and they very fondly we and after that we fought on some few other things, but in the end it's how you conduct. It's how you uh, treat people around you internally and externally. and not get swayed by the short term requirement. And that example is very dear to me because we did not give in, though the situation was very grim and dire.
Yeah. And you started off with talking about honesty and authenticity. I could actually see those core values coming in the forefront in these situations as well.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
real
why
estate is
knowing
not
our,
yeah, sorry,
yeah,
real estate is not a sector which is up there in the
yes, yes,
transparency index. So it is,
yes.
we as individual have to do our best to change the system or the sector 1% at a time.
True, absolutely. Yeah. And 1% at a time, 1% at a time. I mean, every individual has to contribute to that. When the overall index of a particular sector does not show that the industry is transparent or honest, every individual contributing to that is going to make a whole lot of difference for the community and for the industry.
Yeah, and that's the reason I give to a lot of people when they ask me, how and why did you shift from IT to real estate?
Yeah, so what's that secret behind it?
Actually, there is no secret. It just happened to me. I had not decided. I just wanted to be back in India. I was in London that time, and I met some people, and they said we are going to start this company, and I joined them. And I think the whole idea was let's do something in India. And the real estate sector at that time was even worse than what it is today. And my point is, if an educated person like me, who has globally worked and traveled, can make a little bit of a difference, then that will be effort worth making, right? And that's how you make a change. You just start. You don't say, "Oh, nobody is entering real estate. There is no sane person in the world who's going to leave well-paying IT job in London and go to India and get into real estate, which is the bluest of the blue collar industry." I made that change. Again, if you apply a lot of wisdom, uh, you will just be doing analysis paralysis. Sometimes you need to do a very high level, broad level thinking. India is the right place. This sector is going to grow. This sector requires good people, authentic people, or people who will bring in discipline, values, transparency. Let's go and make a change.
Beautiful, beautiful. Be the change that you wish to see. So, yeah, so that was Parag probably making that choice a few years back.
Yeah, I can say with all the smile and all, the journey has been quite up and down and a lot of bruises on the way. But in the end, you can enjoy and say such statements when you are starting the journey. You don't know what's in it for you as you go along, but you tend to enjoy and take it in your stride.
Absolutely. Uh, so you manage a large workforce, Parag, in your role. Tell me, how do you then help your teams to find their purpose and also become an enabler to help everyone to reach their highest potential?
Uh, uh, I don't help them find their purpose. I first try to find what their purpose is. So
Okay.
first, as I said, if there is a person who enjoys playing badminton in the evening, for them, they want to leave at 6 o'clock in the office. So I should not get offended if I meet him and say, "Let's discuss this at 5:50," and says, "I need to leave." Right. So what I mean to say is that, see, what is purpose? Purpose is much higher, but then on a day-to-day basis, what are their priorities? And you will expect, or you will understand that the priority of somebody who just had a baby is very different from somebody whose kids are in college and they may not have a lot of, or versus somebody who's a very keen sports person versus somebody who plays tabla on Tuesdays and Thursdays and goes in a temple or somewhere else. So first, understand what they are in it, why they are working. Is it just money? Is it something else? Do they love their job? Which aspect of the job do they love? You know, uh, and try to understand and create a common thread. For example, when you say find a purpose, see what is it? Everybody when they come into office, what they nobody says I'm here to do a bad job, right? But over the years, there has not been enough recognition, the reward structures, or the company that they were in 5 years back. Today, it's a very different company. The operating style has changed, and maybe they don't want to change, right? Can we create meaningful work? Can we put them in the work in which they shine the best? So, second is, can you communicate? For example, we do a lot of good buildings or projects, right? So when I'm creating a project profile or what kind of building this will be, uh, do I make them part of that success? If there is a particular project which succeeds, will a particular architect or a consultant or a estimation engineer or a site engineer, will they equally feel happy as much as I do? Or will they see it as Parag Saraiya's success but not my success? So I'm not as much as trying to help them find their purpose. A lot of people are wise enough to know what they want. Uh, Many a times they hold back and don't give their best because they don't see a leader who truly backs them up, gives them psychological safety. There are a lot of things. It's like, you tell soldiers to go in a battlefield without weapons, without the gear, without the gun, and give them sticks, go and fight. They'll say, no, I don't have a backup. I don't have enough ammunition. I don't have enough equipment. I don't have this. I don't have that. If you don't equip them and ask them, then it's a suicide mission. So, are you truly able to understand what they want for from their life? And everybody wants different things from their life, right? And by that definition, somebody who's already a millionaire, how do you make them work? So they are definitely not working for money. So how, what is it, which part of the solution or a problem that you are trying to solve or a vision, do they feel completely responsible that this is my module, and I don't want to fail, I'm going to give it best, right? So that is where a leader comes in and try to understand. It's like a Lego block with the different sizes. So when you're trying to make that puzzle, right, which comes in a cardboard pieces, there'll be a large piece, there'll be a small piece. Picture is not perfect even if the smallest of the piece is missing. That's what you need to make them believe, that you have this piece, which is a small piece, but solution is incomplete. And maybe that person says, मैं इतना ही कर सकता हूँ. This is exactly what I want to contribute. I am happy doing that. I have no desire to either grow in terms of the position or a role. When I was in US, there would be people with 30 years of experience and their designation would be engineer. They would not want to become a manager. They hated managing a team or managing any people. They were very, very passionate about, if somebody is doing storage technology or VLSI, they wanted to go deep in that. They will become PhD, they'll become that subject matter expert, they'll be the best in the country in that field and just become engineer. Or maybe a designation like, the in-house resident engineer, principal engineer, or expert. But they never wanted to become general manager. And uh, that person's salary sometimes could be higher than their boss's salary, which doesn't happen often in India.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
in Western world, so if you're telling me how to find a purpose, let that person enjoy what they do best. What we generally do, we tell people, you want more money, you'll become from engineer to senior engineer to assistant manager to DGM to GM. And if you don't do that, your salary will not go up. So we equate money or a risk reward by saying how many people you manage, not what contribution are you able to arrive at, or what contribution are you making in giving that solution? So probably in DRDO or ISRO and all, it would be very different. I mean, it's not about how many people you manage; it's about which part of the rocket or
Rocket.
satellite you are able to crack. But if we can find out, I don't have a very good solution to this, but if we can find out what they want from their life, and how you can connect that into business problem you're trying to solve, and create a good reward mechanism for that. uh, and I'll come back to my earlier statement, give them psychological safety. Then I think they will be really excited. uh, See, when you say find purpose means what, you indirectly you're asking me a question: how can you get best out of people, right? How do you make people behave as if this is the best thing they want to create in the world, and give their full attention with 100% passion? I think these are some of the ingredients that I can think of.
Yeah. Uh, Understanding what they want, what are they good at, and giving them the work that they feel they are good at and they will be able to give 100%, rather than just giving something and then building it up for failure and then saying you are not good enough.
Correct, correct,
And then that goes in a spiral of they feeling worthless, and their overall well-being gets impacted, and so many other things that get associated when a leader is unable to understand what they are good at, what they can do, and how they can contribute. That also is a great way to tap into their purpose. And I absolutely agree with what you shared. It need not be, oh, purpose means I want to create a whole new world and some bigger, larger than life. Not necessary. It's not that is the purpose. There could be some aspects which I just love doing, and you have tapped into that, and you are giving me umpteen number of opportunities for me to contribute to that goal.
correct.
Um, Parag, we are almost to the fag end, but still I cannot stop myself from asking these last two questions. Being in the real estate field, yeah, people always talk about environment and how we
Hmm.
are safeguarding the environment while also ensuring profits of the company. What are some of the things that you are contributing to the social cause and for a healthy environment?
Sure. I think so. This is this new term called ESG, right? Uh, First thing, let me tell you, we don't understand environment, safety, social well enough today. Uh, any change, before I tell you what we are doing, I want to give you a little context of what I see around us. Uh, ESG or environment or social responsibility is a change. Any change which comes in, people take it as one more compliance. Uh, Very few organizations will do it on their own happily. So it starts from compliance, then it starts becoming a behavior, and then it becomes almost like a mandatory or a habit, right? So we are in a very nascent stage, especially in India, in understanding this whole environment, what how we are protecting environment. Correct. There are many examples. I can go into more technicality, but I'll give you a very small example. We are doing a project in Bandra West, in a very upscale residential neighborhood, and we were finishing one building, and we were starting another building, almost one block away or one building away, and there was a building in between those two projects, and I was called by the member and said, Parag, you built this building. We had to bear the noise for 2 years. Now you're starting another building. We'll have to bear the noise for 2 years. And I said, yes. I mean, it's not a choice that you or me have, and that particular micro market is going through redevelopment, older building being broken, and it's probably 20 buildings. So for next 5 years, that noise and that construction will stay. Uh, but in there, I had met an expert. I forgot the name of the lady, and she had done a lot of good job in terms of how to reduce the sound and so on and so forth. So I actually actively sought her help. I said, "What do you think we can do?" And she said, "These are this noise reduction barriers. Can you put it up?" And so I said, okay, please help me and give me your product details. And she did. And then it took us 4 or 5 months to study because it's a new material, visit the sites, meet the vendors and all that. And I'm happy to tell you that this is not mandatory as per any law that we should do it. But what we realize that bedrooms of a couple of floors at the first floor and second level is very close to where we were doing piling and a lot of noise being created and all that. So I spoke to my construction head and he willingly agreed. So we are spending about half a crore to put up those panels, which you already placed in order and will be put up in a couple of months because we feel that is the right thing to do. So it is the ESG is not what people are telling you that this is mandatory. It is not what corporations are telling you, governments are telling you, or your banker is telling you, or somebody who gives a rating is telling you. The first rule of any a good corporation or a good corporate citizen is first listen to people around you, see what they want you to do, out of that what is sensible, what is feasible, and I may not be able to do everything which they tell me, and some of it may not be even practical, but take a first step even before anybody forces you to do that. So in my opinion, that's the right thing. And there are many things we do. We do IGBC green rating. We take a lot of precautions and a lot of practices, good practices at the site and so on and so forth. But this is one example because I was personally so involved in that, and I can tell you with a lot of conviction that if we had not done that, nobody could have pointed that, oh, you did something right. But we decided to do that given the context, given what they were going through or what they were going to go through for next 2 years. And my job was to just convince the team that this is the right thing to do, and I'm willing to give you budget for that. And the team actually, fortunately, obviously, they also understand the context, and they said, "Yes, Parag, let's do that." And once it's successful, once we get to know it, we will do it in other sites also. So that's one example for you in terms of what we do or rather how we do what we do.
And and thank you, Parag, for sharing that beautiful example. It showcases that it's not that you've just sold an apartment to somebody. That relationship, doing something for the community, not out of compulsion, but out of being socially responsible, for the citizens who are staying in that community. And that speaks tons about your leadership and the organization's openness to even take up these suggestions forward and actually implementing it.
Yeah, it's actually the organization's value which give me
Yeah.
courage to walk that path. If
Yes.
organization doesn't support me, irrespective of what I believe, it may not happen.
Yeah.
So it is our promoters and our board who back up when we do things
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
big thanks to them.
Precisely. Precisely. That's why I said it's also when you are socially becoming responsible, you're taking care of the community, and the organization also is supporting that. It makes a whole lot of difference, and to you, the society, and the overall team who's contributing to that cause. So, one
Correct.
last word from you. What is the advice you would give to new generation of leaders? who are aspiring to be conscious leaders? What is that one advice you would like to give them?
Uh, Based on, again, purely from my experience, I think I would say be authentic. uh, there are different when you say leadership style within the authentic or conscious leadership, so there'll be different personalities, right? And so we have multiple CEOs in our company, and everybody has a different style of functioning, uh, uh, and everybody is equally good at the work that they do. So my advice to somebody who's looking at a leadership position is be true to yourself, uh, play on your strengths. uh, don't be ashamed of failure, or of saying no, I don't know this. So be open to either criticism, or be open to be vulnerable, that I don't know this. That means you have reached the path very fast and you have not had exposure, but that doesn't mean you can't learn about it. uh, Always try to find common ground, common connect with the team, take them along. uh, if you don't agree with somebody, that does not make somebody uh, less intelligent or less capable or inferior. It is that they have their version of story, you have your version of story. Can you try to put yourself in their shoes, think for a moment, and then come back? And can you make them think from where you are coming from? uh, if you are able to do that, in fact, I would say stop reading a lot of books, read a lot of books on psychology and human behavior. uh, I think that's a subject which we don't study. I've also not studied. Probably I was sleeping in the class in my MBA when that course was. But I think it's only when you start working you understand none of the subjects that were taught in engineering or schools are applicable. As is. It is how well you work with other people, how well you take other people. And I think some of the good traits that I have is because I've lived in 7 cities and worked with different or lived. So I was in Pune, I was in Chennai, in Belgaum for 5 6 years, US, UK, and born and raised in Mumbai. Now in Mumbai. So when you work with different cultures, you will stop saying, "Why is this person like this?" Right? So you will stop asking or saying, why this city people eat a lot of rice, why this city people eat fish, because it is their context, their culture, right? And once you start respecting that, that means everybody is different, they have a right to be different. But can you make a common dream or a vision with that different set of people? That is the day you will be truly a leader. A leadership position is never given. A leader is acknowledged by the team or a group of people, they are leader. You can't say I'm their leader, then you are not a leader. Only when people tell you, no, no, he's a good leader, he's a good manager, a good boss, whatever term you kind of use it, it is the team who has to acknowledge. Without that, it is a hollow title. So try to take people along, you respect their differences, and fail with them and win with them. So I think that's I would conclude my final answer with that.
Thank you so very much, Parag, for those pearls of wisdom. I'm sure the listeners will get a lot of wisdom from what you said, be it being authentic, honest, make people inclusive in your decision making, let them be part of your vision, be vulnerable and say, I don't know. Create the psychological safety for your people, understand their purpose from them rather than helping, just understand the purpose from them and put them in aspects where they truly believe that they can contribute.
Correct.
There are so many things that I truly learned from this conversation, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, Parag. Thank you so very much.
Before we conclude, Smita, thanks a lot to you for giving me this opportunity. And why am I saying this is this also gave me an opportunity to do introspection on what I do, how I do, and once in a while it's good to look inside and saying, am I doing the right thing? So keep doing good work that you are doing. It's a very different subject that you have taken up, but very relevant and not frequently discussed. I wish you all the best in your journey. And let's hope we make a world better, 1% at a time, 1% at a time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Parag, for this opportunity to interact with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure's mine.